the Polygons and Quadrilaterals honors review for the test. So this is for honors only. So it says, what is the sum of the measures for the interior angles of a 30-gon? So you're going to have to use your formula n minus 2 multiplied by 180. And you have a 30-sided figure, so that's going to be your n. So I'm going to do 30 minus 2 multiplied by 180. So 30 minus 2 is 28. If I do 28 multiplied by 180, you get 5,040 degrees. So that's the interior angles all added together. We're going to use that same formula for number 2. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. So it's an octagon. I have n minus 2 multiplied by 180. 8 minus 2 is 6. 6 multiplied by 180. 6 times 180 makes 1,080 degrees in total. So I know that all of these angles need to add up to make 1,080. So I'm going to start by combining like terms. Instead of writing out a massive equation, I'm going to combine all my x's. I have 8x and 9x, 7x and 9x, and 10x. So if I add up all my x's, 8 plus 9 plus 7 plus 9 plus 10 equals 43x. And then if I'm looking at my numbers, I can do the same thing. So in a calculator at one time, I'm going to just start here. 15, it's positive 15. I'm going to add negative 14 or subtract 14, either way. I'm going to add 153. I'm going to add 6. I'm going to minus 17, add 121, and I'm going to subtract 11, and I'm going to add 139. So you get plus 392 equals 1,080. So it should always reduce to a two-step equation. So now I'm going to minus 392 to both sides. So I get 43x equals 688. And I'm going to divide by 43. So x equals 16. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is very similar as well. It says solve. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So that's a pentagon. So I'm doing 5 minus 2 times 180 because I'm using that same formula, n minus 2 times 180. So 5 minus 2 is 3 times 180 makes 540. So the thing is, with all of these, I have 5 sides. They're all congruent. So all the angles are also congruent to each other. Because if the sides are congruent, the angles are congruent. So I have 5 angles that are equal to 7x plus 31. So I could add this 5 times and equal to 540, or I can do 5 multiplied by 7x plus 31 equals 540. So now I have to get rid of the parentheses, so I have to distribute. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 31 makes 155. I'm going to subtract 155 to both sides. So then I get 35x equals 385, and then I divide by 35 to both sides. Divide by 35, divide by 35. So x equals 11. The next problem is exterior angles. So outside of a figure, exterior angles all add to make the same thing. So if it's on the outside, exterior, these add to make 360. It does not matter the shape at all. So I'm adding up to make 360. So I'm going to do the same thing that I kind of did up here. I'm going to combine my x's. Instead of having a really long, obnoxious equation, I'm going to take 11x, 4, 11 plus 4 is 15, plus 6, that's 21, plus 9 makes 30. So I have 30 x's, so 30x. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the numbers. I have -5, so I'm going to start with -5. I'm adding 29 plus 29. I'm adding 61 plus 61. I'm adding 13. I'm subtracting 15 because it says minus. And then I'm adding 67 because it's positive. So plus 150 equals 360. So it should reduce to a two-step equation. So I'm going to minus 150 to both sides. So I get 210. So I have 30x equals 210. And if I divide by 30 to both sides, I get x equals 7. So that was all of chapter or the first lesson, interior and exterior angles of polygons. Now we're getting into the specific shapes. So this one says find the value of km. So from k to m is this whole diagonal. That's what I need to find. K to u, this portion right here, just this half, is 3x plus 3. U to m is 4x minus 4. So these diagonals are bisecting each other. So those are equal in length. So I can just set them equal to each other. So 3x plus 3 equals 4x minus 4. And then it's a multi-step equation. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I have 3x plus 7 equals 4x minus 3x to both sides. So I have 7 equals 1x, so x equals 1, or I mean 7, sorry. And now I need to find km, so I have to plug it back in, and I can do one of two things. I can plug it in for each and add them together, or I can plug it into 1 and double it. So if I know this is 7, 7 times 3 is 21. 21 plus 3 is 24. So 3 times 7, I'm just making sure, plus 3, yeah. So 24 is the length. So from K to M, that segment is 24 in total. For number 6 says find the measure of angle L if KLMN is a parallelogram. So with parallelograms, opposite angles are congruent. So I can set these angles equal to each other because they are both obtuse. So I could do 8x plus 17 equals 12x minus 39. I'm going to add 39 to both sides. So I have 8x plus 17 plus 39 is 56 equals 12x minus 8x to both sides. You get 4x. So x equals 14. And I need to plug it back in and find angle L. So the measure of angle L is right here. So I'm trying to find this angle. So I could do one of two things. I could plug it into this one or this one. Either way, they're going to be congruent. I'm going to use this one down here. If I do 14 times 12 minus 39, that means that this angle is 129. And if they're on the same side together, 129 and something need to add to make 180 because they are supplementary. They add to make 180. So I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to minus 129. So L, the measure of angle L, is actually equal to 51 degrees because they are same side. They are adding to make 180. Number 7 says RSTU is a rhombus. We need to find X. So, oh, these letters are wrong, R, but it doesn't matter. TUSV is a rhombus. We need to find X. So with a rhombus, we know a couple things. We know that these are 90-degree angles. We know all the sides are congruent to each other. This also is the one shape or one of two shapes, technically, this and a square, that is creating an angle bisector. So these two angles right here and right here, they are congruent to each other. So I'm going to set these two equal to each other and solve for X. So 9x minus 43 equals 5x plus 1. So I'm going to add 43 to both sides. So I get 9x equals 5x plus 44. And I'm minus 5x, so I get 4x equals 44. And if I divide by 4, you get 11. Moving on to the next one. The next one is also a rhombus. So it says find the value of x if ABCD is a rhombus. AD specifically is 4x plus 2. So I'm going to put that in my picture, 4x plus 2. D to C is 7x minus 13. So the nice thing about a rhombus is that all the sides are congruent. Not only does this cross to make a 90-degree angle, not only are all the angles congruent to each other, those two, and then these ones are congruent to each other. All the sides are congruent to each other. So I'm going to set these sides equal to each other because 2 sides to a rhombus, or all the sides, are equal to each other. 7x minus 13. Then I'm going to add 13 because it says minus 13. There goes the lights. I turned off in my classroom. So you have 4x plus 15 equals 7x. I'm going to minus 4x to both sides, minus 4x. So 15 equals 3x. So x equals 5. On the backside, number 9 says if B to E is 7x minus 13 and B to D, this whole length, is 16x minus 38, we need to find B to E. So we're going to have to plug it back in here. So I'm given half. I know the whole thing is 16x minus 38. So what I'm going to have to do in this case is, because I know that this piece is bisected by this, they're congruent. So I'm going to multiply this little tiny side by 2 and set it equal to the entire length, 16x minus 38. To get rid of my parentheses, I need to distribute. So I have 14x minus 26 equals 16x minus 38. And then I'm going to add, I should have added 38 to both sides, but I'm going to add 26. So I have 14x equals 16x minus, I think this is 8, but I'm going to make sure 38. Oh, no, it's 12. My bad. See, I'm going to use a calculator. And then I'm going to minus 16 to both sides. So I get negative 2x equals negative 12. If I divide, I get x equals 6. I need to find BE. So from B to E is 7x minus 13. So I'm doing 7 multiplied by 6, 7 times 6, and then I'm minusing 13. So B to E is 29 in length. For number 10 is a rectangle. It says if the measure of angle DEG, so this angle right here, is 4x minus 5, and the measure of FGE is 6x minus 21, because remember, it's technically the middle letter. I need to find the value of x. These are technically parallel lines cut by a transversal. So these angles are actually alternate interior angles, meaning that they are equal to each other. So I could do 4x minus 5 equals 6x minus 21. I'm going to add 21 to both sides. So I have 4x plus 16 equals 6x. If I minus 4x, I have 16x equals 2x. I mean, not 16x. 16 equals 2x, so x equals 8. Number 11 is where we start getting into the trapezoids. It says find the measure of angle R. So with a trapezoid, remember that I have same side angles, consecutive angles, add to make 180. So I'm going to add these up, 6x minus 22 plus 8x plus 34 equals 180. So they are supplementary. 6 and 8, when I combine like terms, is 14x. When I combine my numbers, you need to be careful. This is negative 22 plus 34. So that should bring down positive 12 for my calculator. And then two-step equation, I'm going to minus 12 to both sides. So I get 168. And then I'm going to divide by 14 to both sides. So x equals 12. I'm not done though. It wants me to find the measure of angle R, which is plugging it back in. 8 times 12 plus 34. So this angle is 130. This is also technically 130, but that doesn't matter. So the angle R is 130 degrees. For the next one, it's also a trapezoid. These ones want to find the measure of angle G. So same concept. The two sides add to make 180. So I could do 8x minus 2 plus 5x plus 26 equals 180. So I have 13x plus 24 equals 180. I'm going to minus 24 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 13. So you should get x equals 12, but you're not done because you have to plug it back into G. So I'm going to plug it back in. I'm doing 5 times 12 plus 26 to get 86. So the measure of angle G is actually equal to 86. What degrees when you plug it back in? So 86. For the next trapezoid has diagonals. It says W to Y is 15x minus 2. That goes the whole distance. X to Z, the whole distance, is 9x plus 10. The diagonals in a trapezoid are congruent to each other. So I'm going to set these equal to each other. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I have 15x equals 4x plus 12 minus 4x to both sides. Ooh, why is this ugly? Did I do something wrong? Oh, it's a 9, not a 4. So this is a 9. 9, 9, 9, 9. So 6x equals 12. So when I divide, x equals 2. And then I have to plug it back in to find WY. So from W to Y, that whole distance, W to Y is 15x minus 2. I know x is 2. 15 times 2 is 30. 30 minus 2 is 28. So WY is actually equal to a length of 28. Going to number 14. 14 also is a trapezoid. This says find A to B, so I'm going to have to plug it back in here. This has a mid segment. So the mid segments of trapezoids are a little special. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the inside and I'm going to multiply by 2. I think I taught this to honors a little bit different. I add base 1 and base 2 together and I divide by 2 and equal it to the mid segment. An easier way is to just multiply the mid segment by 2 and add it to these two, top and bottom added together. So I'll show you. So I'm going to do 63 times 2 equals base 1 and base 2 added together. So I'm going to do 5x plus 7 plus 8x minus 11. If you do it the other way, you're going to get the same answer. So if I do 63 times, 63 times 2, I get 126. If I combine like terms, 5 plus 8 is 13x plus 8.
We be serving pizza, french fries, juice and milk. See you then.
Okay. 7 minus 11 is minus 4. So now I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get 130 equals 13x. Divide by 13. So I get x equals 10. And then I have to plug it back in to find AB. So I'm doing 5 times 10 plus 7. 5 times 10 is 50. 50 plus 7 is 57. So AB is 57. Okay, 15. This says in the kite below, determine the length of D to C. So I need to find this section right here, D to C. Okay, so using this, remember that a kite has 90-degree angles in the corner. We are going to have to find the hypotenuse of a right triangle. So remember, you have a triangle technically right here. Anytime you have a right triangle, you're usually going to have to use the Pythagorean theorem. So be aware if you have triangles. The base is technically 10. The height is 13. I'm trying to find C because it's always the diagonal of the right triangle. So I'm doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to do 13 to the power 2 plus 10 to the power 2 equals c to the power 2. 13 times 13 is 169 plus 100 equals c squared. So 269 equals c squared. And this is where you're going to need a calculator, because in your calculator, you're going to have to find the square root button. So if I have 269, I'm going to press shift right here, and the x squared button. It's a little blurry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the square root is above the button. So I'm going to press shift and then this button. So I get 16.40. So I'm just going to say 16.4. So C is around 16.4. And now the last one, 16. This one says find the values of x and y. So if this is 124, this angle is also congruent. So I could put 124 here. 82 cannot go here. The whole thing needs to add to make a total of 360, because if you do n minus 2 times 180, you have 4 sides. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 180 makes 360. So the whole thing needs to add to make 360. So you can make a really long equation if you want. You could do 124 plus 124 plus 82 plus x equals 360. Or you could just simply subtract all of them from 360, which would make more sense. Minus 124 minus 82. So you should get x equals 30. So 30. And these are technically degrees. So I would put my little degree symbol. So x is 30, y is 124.